Hey guys, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget and the ATM. Today is January 7th, 2016. Today we're going to be just answering some questions if you guys have any. I don't really have any particular lesson planned at the moment. I know there were some questions about expired domains recently. There's been some discussions in the Facebook group about it, so I figured we'd talk about that a little bit and then answer any questions. If you guys have questions specific to that or anything else concerning the ATM, please post them on the event page and I will get to them shortly. So let me grab the screen so you guys can at least see what I'm seeing, and then we'll get right into it. Hope everyone had a happy new year. 2016 should be a good year. At least I plan on it being one. So, all right. The first question was from Ray. He says, I read your post in the Facebook group, excuse me, about expired domains. Can you tell us what to look for when buying expired domains for ATM sites? Do they need to have any minimum number of backlinks? Ray, no, I don't. That's not how I look for them. Now, there's a million ways to skin a cat. And so everybody's going to have their own opinion. I'll tell you how I do it. What I'm looking for is topical trust flow more than anything. Okay. I'm looking for trust flow 10 plus. So anything above 10. And these are Majestic SEO metrics that I'm talking about. That's pretty much the only tool I use for SEO analysis or backlink analysis, because of the trust flow and topical trust flow metrics that are provided by Majestic. That's not something that Ahrefs or SEO Moz or or any of those other tools will provide. So those are the metrics that I use because I found there to be a correlation between sites ranking with and higher trust flows, particularly topical trust flow. So let me actually pause the screen just for a minute, and I'll open up Majestic, and we can look at something. Give me a minute, guys, while I try to find something that we can look at here. Oh, what the hell's going on? Okay, we'll just use Moz as an example. That's good. All right, let me grab the screen again. All right. Okay, so inside of Majestic, what I'm looking for is trust flow being 10 plus, also preferably not a spammy profile. And what I mean by that is if you see first, I guess let me explain what the difference between trust flow is and citation flow, because those are the two metrics, proprietary metrics of Majestic. Citation flow is a measure of quantity of links. Okay, it's a measure of quantity. It doesn't matter whether they're high quality, low quality. It's just really it's a metric assigned, a value assigned by Majestic based on the quantity of links, whereas trust flow is the measure of quality. Okay, so there's a big difference. And so when you're looking at expired domains, if you see a domain with a citation flow of 35 and a trust flow of 10, that's an indication that it's been spammed. Okay, it's an indication because typically what we're looking for is a 1-to-1 ratio, as close to a 1-to-1 ratio trust flow to citation flow as possible, or a higher trust flow than a citation flow, which isn't, that's not too common. That the trust flow is higher than citation flow. Typically, it's going to be the other way around, where citation flow is higher than trust flow. And it's okay for there to be a little bit of an imbalance. But if you get like a 24 citation flow and an 8 trust flow, that typically means that the domain has got some spammy links built to it. Okay. So what I look for is number one, I'm looking for 10 trust flow 10 plus. But I'm also looking for a close to a 1-to-1 trust flow to citation flow ratio. So, I might pick up a domain with a trust flow of 11 and a citation flow of 17 or something like that. Like, that's okay. That's not too far off. And it just depends on the domain. Also, it depends on the niche that I'm working in, because obviously it's going to be easier to find some domains in some niches than it is in others. So, but then the next metric that I'm looking at is topical trust flow, and that's this thing in the middle. And you have to have a paid account to be able to see these. But there are a topical trust flow is trust flow in itself isn't as important as I think a lot of people believe it to be. Topical relevancy is, and that's what the measure of topical trust flow is. This is the inbound links that are pointing to this domain, what type of topical relevancy they have. Okay, so if you're building a plumbing site, a site for ring partners or whatever to generate plumbing leads or plumbing calls, it would be good to find a domain that had business, construction, maintenance and construction, or whatever. There's a lot of subsets within the topics for topical trust flow, but it's like construction and maintenance or something like that. Business/construction and maintenance. Those would be good. If you're doing a regional type site, then you can find, it'll say regional / North America, something like that for a US type site. Those would be good links. Business, there's a whole bunch of subsets in business. There's computers and internet for software and search and web design, as you can see right here, internet on the web. So I'm looking for topical relevancy of the inbound links pointing to the domain that I'm purchasing. And that I found has been probably the best metric to look for. And this doesn't just apply to ATM sites. I mean, you can use these domains as redirect domains to boost existing sites that you have. I'm not suggesting that you guys start buying domains to build backlinks to your ATM sites. That's not what I'm saying, because I think that's kind of a waste of time. But if you do other, more traditional SEO stuff, finding topically relevant domains with inbound link profile and a good trust flow profile of 10 plus, particularly, like I said, with the topical trust flow on target, then you can use those as well to help boost existing sites that you have for backlink building, or even building private blog network sites, which if I was going to be building private blog network sites, the only way I would do it was with domains that are topically relevant to what I'm actually going to be linking to, if that makes sense. But you can use the same type of domains for building ATM sites, and I'm seeing a much better result than I am with brand new registered domains. And the thing is if you have to have a domain crawler, or you have to find a domain provider that can find them with topical relevancy in order to be able to do this. Okay. So there's a few tools that you can use to do that. There's one that I'm using right now that I really, really like, and it's by Terry Kyle. It's called Blue Chip Backlinks. If anybody's interested in it, let me know. I can get you a link. I'm actually doing a webinar today about it with our mastermind members. And we're actually bringing Terry Kyle on, but it's a great tool. It's a great way to find expired domains and by topical relevance. But you're going to need a domain crawler to do it. There's a bunch of tools out there that do that. I've tried a couple of them, and I like Blue Chip Backlinks the best. But one of the ways that you can, if you have a domain crawler, and what I mean by that is a domain crawler will basically go crawl a domain, and it will find broken links. So links that are within the site itself that are pointing to, and they're external links that are going to sites that are returning no DNS resolution error or something like that, so that and then it will report those links back, especially if it's a lot of the domain crawlers will actually integrate with like Namecheap API, and it will check to see if the domain names are available for registration, so that you can, and it will only return results for domains that are available to register. And those are great, because that means you can, for the cost of registration only, so roughly $10 per domain, you can pick up these old domains that had had sites on them, particularly that were topically relevant to what you're going to be building on, because then the inbound link profile should be relevant to what your topics are going to be about on the domain. The traditional way that people have used expired domains is they just look for metrics, pure metrics. Most of the time they were looking for page rank or domain authority or page authority, and buying domains regardless of whatever topic was on the domain before. They don't care. They just wanted to strip it down, buy it new for just a registration fee, or even at auction if you were buying them that way, and then put new content on them that was 90% of the time wasn't relevant to what was on there before. And that used to work, but it doesn't work so good anymore, because Google's algorithm is looking more for relevancy now than anything. And so now, like I said, if you're a bit more surgical with selecting them, then you can get really good results. And that's what I've been doing. I've been finding really good results with finding domains for various reasons, not just for ATM sites, but I'm using them for my traditional SEO, for like client work and stuff like that, and having really, really good results with that right now. So hopefully that explained how those work. I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth about how to build on those in just a moment. I want to see what else there is on here. So, so Ray, is any number of backlinks? No, I don't really care. I mean, I guess to a little bit to a point, I like to see at least 5 referring domains. I don't care about the number of backlinks. That's not what's important to me, because oftentimes you'll find if there was a site-wide link, for example, on a site that, what I mean by a site-wide link was like a link in the footer or a link in the sidebar of a site to the domain that I'm analyzing, and that site that had the site-wide link had 300 pages, then I'm going to have 300 links, but all coming from one domain, one referring domain. So I don't look at number of backlinks as I do referring domains. That's a more important metric to me. So as you can see here, this site's got 6,300,000 links, but it's only from 42,000 domains. Does that make sense? So I'm not looking at the external backlinks because that can be deceiving. That's not a good metric to look at. Referring domains is a much better metric to look at. So I like to, this is not a hard and fast rule, but I typically look for something that has at least 5 referring domains. And that doesn't sound like much, but you don't need much. I mean, considering if you're buying an XYZ domain or whatever that's brand new, that's never had anything on it, and you've got 0 metrics, no trust, it's newly registered, never been built on before, and that's what a lot of people build on, is that kind of stuff. Then finding a domain with the trust flow 10 plus, particularly with on the right topic, and then with referring domains of 5 or more, that's a substantial head start, a substantial head start that you wouldn't have otherwise. So, and again, it's just the cost of registration, roughly $10. Okay. And that seems to work really well for me. Now, there's a couple other things that you can do. Again, five referring domains is what I'm looking for. However, in more obscure niches, sometimes it's difficult to find those. So then I really just continue to look for the trust flow numbers. And at least if I have at least 2 good referring domains. And then what I'll do also, by the way, is I'll go back and I'll look at the backlinks coming from those domains. Now, this one's got a lot, obviously Moz has got a ton of backlinks, so it'd be difficult. But when you're looking at a domain, a potential domain to purchase, and it's only got, say 3 referring domains pointing to it, it's usually only going to be a handful of backlinks from those 3 domains. And so you can go over to the backlink section and you can actually look at the pages that'll show you the page URL that those backlinks are on, that are pointing to this domain that you're looking at, right? And then you can actually go look at the Wayback Machine, archive.org, and take a look at that page and see how long that link has been there to the domain that you're analyzing. Because sometimes you'll find stuff where the link's been there for 8 years or 9 years. So chances are that link is not going to be taken down, because if it's been there for 8 years and the site's been broken for however long, the domain's not been registered, then chances are it's not going to be taken down. The problem is if you just had one referring domain and you got, let's say you hit your metrics that I was talking about, like trust flow 10 plus, it was on topic, but it only had one referring domain, and the backlink was only, a year old or 2 years old or something like that. You could buy that domain. Yes, you'd still have a bit of a benefit. However, if that link were to be removed by the webmaster that the backlink was built on, then you're going to lose all that trust flow, because it's all coming from just one link or one referring domain, right? So that's why it's good to have multiple referring domains, because then at least if you lose 1 or 2 of the inbound links, it's still going to have juice flowing into it from other domains. But again, a lot of the times you'll see when you're doing this type of analysis that there's only, even if it's got, let's say, 5 referring domains, typically it'll only be 1 or 2 links that are providing the majority of the trust flow anyways. So you just got to kind of look at it and look at the history of the backlink that's pointing to the domain, which is giving it its power, its trust flow metrics, and then see what is the likelihood. And it's just kind of a wild ass guess, but you got to kind of determine what the likelihood is that link will be removed. Now, there's one other thing that you can do from the Wayback Machine, archive.org. You can also download those the snapshots of the site that you're analyzing. So for example, let me just walk you guys through this. And what I like about Blue Tick Backlinks is it will actually do this for you, and you can download a zip file of the HTML pages, or of the pages of the site that from the domain that you're analyzing, from a previous point, you know, in history. And then you can download those as HTML pages and actually upload them to the server. And we're going to talk about subdomains and subfolders here in just a minute. But that's a way that you can pretty much guarantee that your backlinks aren't going to be removed. All right, so let me just show you what I mean. And this is going to be huge, but all right. So for example, we're looking at Moz.com here again on the Wayback Machine, but let's go all the way back to 2003, for example. This is 12 years ago, or 13 years ago now, right? Let's click on this and see. Okay, so that's not a good one. Let's go back. We'll go a little bit closer. Let's go 2010. Okay, and you know what? We might have to look for, it used to be, what was it? SEOmoz.com. I think that's what it used to be. It's been a long time since. Yeah, that's better. Let's look at that. All right, so this isn't a good example. Let me see if I can find, in fact, let's do this to make sense. Let's go to leadgadget.com. Come back to 2014. And that's just, well, okay, to just explain the point. You can go to Wayback Machine, and if you type in the domain that you're looking at, it will show you a snapshot of the site, including all of its links and pages. And oftentimes the images will be broken, blah, 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 like because JavaScript and stuff like that won't actually be carried over to the Wayback Machine. So there will be elements of the sites that are oftentimes broke. But my point is many times when you're looking at a domain, let's say it had a 12-year history, then you can go back, let's say 8 years, and select a snapshot from 8 years ago and actually download and extract all those pages as HTML files and then upload them to the domain, the root domain, to rebuild that site so that it looks like it did from, 8 years ago. And so if you're looking at the backlink tool, the backlink history on the for backlinks pointing to the domain that you're considering purchasing, and it's an 8-year-old backlink, and you're worried about, and let's say it's only got 3 referring domains, and most of the juice is coming from that one backlink, and it's been there for 8 years. But if the webmaster were to find and remove that backlink, you'd lose all of the trust flow metrics. Then it would be wise to actually rebuild the old site. It's, again, just as an HTML site. It's very simple to do. And that way, if the webmaster were to find that link and click on it, it would take them to the site that they had originally linked to, right? And so there's a lot less chance of them actually removing that backlink. And that's something that I do often. And then as far as building on those domains at that point, one of the questions that Big Happy asked in the Facebook group was, should we build on subdomains? And Roger Gonzalez, he actually answered it very well, because if you're building on a subdomain of an expired domain, you're not going to get any trust flow metrics out of it. Okay, you can benefit from the domain authority that particular domain might have had, but domain authority is so easily manipulated. It's not a metric that I really give a shit about anymore. Okay, a couple of years ago, yeah, domain authority boosting and all that kind of stuff was really beneficial, but it's not so much anymore. And it's because it's too easily manipulated. Okay, it's too easy to spam that and manipulate results. So that's why the algorithm has gone more towards topical relevancy than anything. And so by building on a subdomain of an expired domain that had trust flow metrics and topical trust flow metrics, you're not going to receive any of the benefit from that. There's a little tiny bit of bleed over, but it's very, very little. So the only thing that you're benefiting at that point on a subdomain would be from domain authority, which there's still some benefit to that, but it's not nearly as effective as it used to be. So the other way to do it is to build on a subdirectory, and a subdirectory still is a site built, even if you build it in a separate folder. If you don't know how to do that, then there's probably a million YouTube videos that can explain it. But building on a subdirectory, you're still building on the root. You're just building in a folder, so it looks like pages on the site. Okay. And so you don't have any protection from that. If you were to get slapped by Google on a subdirectory site, or a site built in a subdirectory or subfolder of the root domain, then your entire root, the root domain and all of its other subfolders and all of its subdomains would catch the penalty as well. So there's no protection. I particularly like to build on subdomains because of the protection. That's why, because it's considered a separate site. If a subdomain catches a penalty, it does not carry over to the root. So therefore, my root remains protected. But in this case, in order to benefit from the metrics, you're going to want to build on a subdirectory or on the root domain itself, which is what I've been doing. I have not been building on subdirectories for these, for ATM sites. For PBN sites and for backlink purposes, for traditional SEO, I've been rebuilding the sites with HTML from archive.org, rebuilding the HTML pages and then placing my links in those HTML pages to my client sites, right? That's what I've been doing with that. But that's just because I want the old site to look like, you know, to be there, so that because I'm just trying to funnel juice from those domains to the new site. But for ATM sites, I've just been buying topically relevant sites, and then, or excuse me, topically relevant domains, and then just building directly on the root. However, you can build in subfolders and build multiple sites per domain that way. Now, I'm not sure how that would work with the ATM and the way that we have it set up and it deploys sites. I'm not sure that we're capable of doing that, but you can do it on your own, or if you were using cPanel or whatever, you can do it that way. I just don't know how that would work inside of the ATM itself with the way we add domains and subdomains. I don't know how we would get it to go directly to a subfolder. So I can't do any training on that because I'm just not sure how to do it, if that makes sense. I can build sites in subfolders all day long, but that's using like cPanel and traditional methods. I just don't know how to make that deploy into a subfolder from the inside the ATM. I hope that was clear. Okay. Kevin says, how did your experiment at building local feeder ATM sites work out? Can you share the results, positive and negative? It didn't work that well, Kevin, believe it or not. And in part, that's because of like what I was just showing here with, if you have, you know, let's say you've got a site with 1,000 pages on it, or let's use ATM pages or an ATM site, for example. Let's say you have a site with 30,000 posts on it, which is what we often have, right? And you have backlinks pointing from that one site to another domain, right? So let's say you're linking from that one ATM site with 30,000 posts to another site. Well, you're going to have 30,000 external backlinks from one referring domain. And so it didn't work out very well. Now, I didn't expect it to, but I thought it was worth a test. And it didn't really work all that well. It generated some leads because I got some calls because I blanketed a very small area. I believe it was one county in Maryland. And it ended up being like a, shit, I can't even remember. It's been so many months now, but it was like a 20,000 post or 12,000 post site for one city or one county in Maryland. So I did generate some leads from it. But as far as using it as an SEO tool, which is what the test was about, it really wasn't effective. Wasn't effective at all, actually. So hopefully that makes sense. But that, you know, that's what I do, guys. I just like playing around with these things and see, you know, because if I can find something, a loophole that we can exploit, then I'm going to scale that very quickly, you know. Okay. Okay, so I answered Lee's question as well. Kevin says, in Andrea's Serp Sacred Command Center, he has the ability to easily apply themes and templates. Is this something the ATM can or will do? Using default theme must be a footprint for Google. I have no idea, Kevin. You'd have to talk to Don about that. He's a developer. So honestly, I don't know. But, you know, you can switch themes out inside of, once the site's deployed, all you got to do is change the theme just like you do any other theme, you know. And a lot of premium themes will allow you to create child themes, or that you can create a template from. So like, let's say that you set up you install a different theme and you set it up the way that you like it. If you can create a child theme out of that, and if it's not something that you can do, you can find people on Upwork to do that all day long for dirt cheap. Then they can create a child theme out of it and then zip it up into a zip file, and you can use that to deploy on all of your new sites. Once they're deployed by the ATM, you can go in and just install the theme and the child theme and activate it, and then all of your settings and everything will be there just the way you like it. Okay, so something else I'm working on. I hired a guy from Upwork to create an iMacro for me to do the cleanup on the ATM sites. So he's actually done it for one of our other members already, and it was just coincidence that I contacted this guy in Upwork because I was looking for somebody to do to write an iMacro script for me that will do the cleanup based upon my specifications and what I typically do in my ATM sites once they're deployed. Because it still takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to do a cleanup and install the plugins and set the customization, configure the plugins and everything the way that I like them. And that's a lot of time for me because I have very limited time to work on these ATM sites, not as much as I would like to because all the other projects I'm working on. So I hired a guy from Upwork who apparently had already scripted an iMacro for another one of the Lead Gadget members. And I didn't even know it. It was just kind of coincidence, but I'm actually supposed to be sending him the video of what I need either today or tomorrow, and he's going to write an iMacro script for me. And if it works out well, which I'm pretty sure it will, then I'll be sharing that information with you guys so you guys can have access to. I won't share my script because it'll be specific to what it is that I use, like my plugins and everything else. But there will be at least an iMacro that can be customized to your specific needs. And I already told the guy that I could probably drive some additional people to him to write scripts, but that's going to save a ton of time. So hopefully it'll work out. I just want to kind of share that with you guys, plant the seed. That's something that if it works out well, which I expect that it will, I'll share it with you guys, share his information so that you guys can contact him. And it should be less expensive because the framework of the iMacro will be there. It'll just be a matter of changing it to your specific needs, customizing the script to your needs for what plugins you typically use, right? So it should be less expensive going forward. I don't even know how much it's going to cost. If it costs me a few $100, it's okay with me because it's going to be totally worth the time that it's going to save me. If I can just deploy sites and then activate a script and let it run and do all the cleanup, and then that's going to save me a ton of time. So I'll get more sites built in. It's part of the reason I don't build near as many sites as I'd like to. Is just the time it takes for me to do them and then clean them up, and I have very limited time. So, okay, guys, if you have any other questions, post them because I'm gonna wrap it up. If we don't, I'll give you guys another minute or two. And if you don't have any questions, we'll just wrap it up. I've got lots of work to do, as I'm sure you do as well. And I know there's a bit of a delay, so I'll stand by for another minute. Yeah, Kevin, I can give you his name. I mean, his name is Marin, I think it is. I'd have to, let me see. Marin, Begic. Here, I'll post his name in. Marin. You can find him on Upwork. I'm not logged in up. Well, I probably am logged in Upwork, actually. Let me just see. Just a minute, guys. I'll share his. I mean, I was going to wait until I tested him. Let's see. I'm going to have to find him. I don't know if I have him handy. Just a second. There it is right there. Here, I'll share his profile URL. I was going to wait until I had it done and back before suggesting him, but if you guys want to talk to him, by all means, he's done it before for one of our other members, I said, as I mentioned. So the pricing is good. He's in the $20 an hour range, like $24 an hour, something like that. And to me, even if I paid a couple $100, a few $100 to get a script created and customized the way I want it, I'm okay with that because the amount of I don't build near as many sites as I should be with the ATM. It's because I don't have the time to do them and to do the cleanup. And so if I can get the cleanup part of it, which is a significant portion of the time that it takes, automated, at least mostly automated, then that's going to be huge, because then I'll be able to crank out a hell of a lot more sites. You know what I mean? And so to me, it'd be worth even several $100s. And once the script is created, again, it can be customized with a lot less effort to meet specific needs of each individual member, because I'm sure everybody has their own cleanup process. So anyways, here's the link to that. Lee, no, because the cleanup process is, there's nothing there to, and you posted that question twice. I'm not sure why. No, I haven't shared my cleanup process, because it's, I mean, if you know anything about WordPress, it's the same, right? It's there's no different. You go in, you save the permalinks, you activate the plugins that you want activated, you configure the plugins. That's it. I mean, there's nothing different. Just a matter of which plugins I use. I use a set of premium plugins that I purchased that I use for my ATM sites, and that's it. So there's really nothing to share there. Okay. All right, but you guys, yeah, if you talk to Marin, just tell him I sent you. I mean, I don't get anything out of it, but I'm not trying to hold back from you guys. You know what I mean? So if once I get the script created, which should be within about 2 weeks, and I'll let you guys know how it goes if you want to hold off till then. Otherwise, just go ahead and contact him and tell him that I sent you. So, all right, guys, any other questions? I'll give it another minute. I was in the middle of actually building an ATM site when I had to just start this webinar today, because I'm trying to build a new one to record the screencast recording of my cleanup process for Marin to create the iMacro. So I can get back to that. All right, cool. Well, Kevin, thanks for saying you're good. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. We will see you all next week. There's a chance that we're supposed to be doing the webinar in the evening next week instead of in the morning, although I'm taking a class now at nights on Thursdays, so it's kind of difficult for me to do it at night unless I do it late, like from 8 to 9 p.m. So I don't know. We might end up just doing morning webinars. The attendance has been low anyways, so I don't know. We'll see. I'll either schedule it from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. to next week, or we'll do it again in the morning. Maybe you guys can comment on the event that I set up inside of Facebook to let me know whether it's something you want to continue to do in the morning or if you prefer evening, and I'll try to accommodate as best as possible. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for everybody being here. Happy New Year to all of you.